Hi guys. I am recording this for a couple people that can't make it. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. If you're logged in right now, we are going to cover the proctor training for the 10th grade pre-ACT, and I promise to make it as short and sweet as possible. For sure, we'll be done by 3:20. If you have any questions, especially since this is such a small group, just feel free to unmute and shout them out, or you could add them to the chat. If I haven't met you before, my name is Kate Boer, and I am on the testing team this year. You've been getting a lot of emails from me the past week or so, and I promise that'll stop after tomorrow. And I'm also an instructional coach this year. Thank you guys so much for being here and being so patient with the new testing team process, as well as being so determined to make tomorrow a success for our kids. We are so grateful for you guys. So thank you. So tomorrow, 10th grade, if you're here, you are proctoring or helping to proctor the 10th grade pre-ACT. And all that is a practice ACT. We want our sophomores to experience the closest thing to an actual ACT as often as possible. And so this is just one more opportunity for them. All of our sophomore scholars are already registered for the pre-ACT. They just need to come tomorrow and be on time and show up, and they are ready to go. So and then this information was shared with our sophomores via advisory. So last Thursday, October 14th. And if you are just logging in, we are covering the 10th grade pre-ACT, and the junior proctor training will start at 3:25 today. So the pre-ACT is a predictor for the ACT. It's structured exactly like the ACT with English, math, reading, and science sections of the test. Tomorrow at 8 a.m., we're asking at least one of the two proctors from each room to come pick up the test tote. And in that tote, we will have the following. I'm not going to read through all of these for you. There will be a tote guide on the very first thing you see. So you'll see everything that's supposed to be in there. But we do have pencils, Post-its, and itineraries that we will be covering more a little bit in this training. And if you are new to proctoring, that's okay, because there's a lot of new information this year as well. So I will cover that now. And again, feel free to unmute, shout out questions, and I'll try to watch the chat as well. If somebody notices that I don't see something in the chat, just let me know. That would be super helpful. Oops. So breakdown of tomorrow's assessment day. These times, we try to stick to them as close as possible, but if you've proctored before, you know that that can fluctuate a few minutes here or there. But we are really hoping to have all students start by 8:50, start filling out the test answer document with some of their information. So this is for the standard time. Notice 8:30 to 12:30, 12:40-ish. When students are dismissed from the test, they can get lunch in the cafeteria. And so it's really important that we help give our lunch staff a heads up on how many students might be coming. And so we do, like I showed you on this slide, we do have Post-its in the test tote, and those are for writing names down on the Post-its to assign one desk per student. And you can also use a Post-it to take a lunch count. Just ask students to raise their hand if they want lunch, and then you can hang that outside your door. And again, if this is going pretty quickly, please know that these directions are going to be printed, and they already are printed, and they're in your test tote on a colorful sheet of paper, and it just walks you through step by step. So ask students if they want lunch, put it on a Post-it, put it outside the door. Those kinds of directions are there for you. If you are proctoring for time and a half, that's an accommodation we want to honor for all of our students that need it. So the start time will still be the same, but they do have time and a half for each section of the test. So for English, for example, it's just a little bit longer. And notice here, this is new this year, in between the math and the reading tests, the time and a half students have an extended break in order to have lunch in the cafeteria. And we did it that way this year just to ensure that students aren't waiting too long until 1:30 or even later to eat lunch. So students may go to the cafeteria from 11:25-ish to 11:50, and then they will be back ready to go to test. And it looks like I have to fix, I see a little typo there that I'll fix. Okay. So if you, I don't think we're testing in anyone in here's classroom, but if you are in your classroom and you notice that you have posters that might have math formulas or something on that, please cover up any posters or decorations that would help or coach students. And then we've had multiple reminders today for students, 10th graders, to bring a number 2 pencil. You will also have extra pencils in your test tote. The morning of, so after you grab your test tote or before, if you could try to arrange your desks in rows and face them in one direction toward the clock, that's preferred. And then you can start reviewing your proctor script, which is just read directly from the manual starting on page 43. And I've marked up those proctor scripts for you, so you'll know where to start and what to skip and all of that. Kind of covered all of this. And we counted the test booklet and answer pages based on the number of students you have testing with you. But if there is a mistake, we have extras of those materials in the media center. And so you can just either email the testing team or just stop back in the media center and grab what you need. They should all be set, but mistakes do happen. So as students enter the room, we encourage them to just power off their phone right away. Again, the purpose of that is just to make sure that they are experiencing as close of an environment to the actual ACT as possible. And so I usually, when I proctor, just keep all of the phones on a table at the front of the room. Students may not have phones on their person or underneath their desk. And so power off and at the front of the room is great. Then you can take attendance on the roster given to you. And again, lunch count on a Post-it and hang it outside your door. Okay. Calculators are optional. I do have some extra. And so if you have a student that doesn't have one or didn't ask their math teacher for one, again, you can just email the test team, or you can call the media center, or you can stop down, and I do have a few extra. Students may not use highlighters or any other electronic devices. And then at 8:50, that's our cutoff. I know this is kind of strict, but we do need to have a cutoff just as they would in the actual ACT. So you may start reading the script at 8:50, and that's marked for you on page 43. This is a breakdown of the test for standard timing. If you are time and a half, then that's extended, obviously. The 40-minute interest inventory, that's what starts at 8:50. And if you've proctored in the past, we've sometimes done this ahead of time during advisory, but then we found that students ran out of time. And that interest inventory, you may get a couple groans and mumbles from students about that, but it does give them a ton of great information on their student score report that they receive after their test has been scored. And it gives us in our counseling department some information on students as well. So please encourage them to fill that out thoughtfully. That would be much appreciated. And then during the test, if you could just circulate throughout the room, wear comfy shoes. We always encourage people to wear comfy, quiet shoes because you'll be walking up and down the aisles if you have a full class. If it's just you and a small number of kids for a time and a half, just do whatever you feel comfortable with. And then please keep all students in the room until testing time is ended. One student at a time can leave for the bathroom, and there will be teachers that are on their breaks located in the hallways, and so they can help see when a student needs to go to the bathroom and direct them to the nearest bathroom. And if you have any irregularities, such as a student using their cell phone or a phone going off during the test, you can record those on page 61 of the test manual. This test in the fall is just a practice test, so it's a little bit lower stakes. And so there's not as many rules around that this time around. The hope was that every room had co-proctors unless you were one-on-one. Due to a very limited number of people tomorrow, if you find that you do not have a co-proctor, please let us know. We will make sure you get a break. And then if you and your co-proctor are there at the beginning, you can just coordinate with each other. However, the breaking looks for you, that's up to you and your co-proctor. Oftentimes in the past, we've just had teachers take every other hour. So I'll be here for the first hour and my co-proctor will be out in the hall at a desk or a table working on whatever they need to work on, and then we'll switch. But whatever works for you and your co-proctor is great for us, just as long as there's one adult in the room at all times. And then really quickly, please don't read or paraphrase anything for the student. Students need to stay on the current section that they're on. They can't go back and work on previous sections. Students may not use dictionaries or word processors and you can't offer any opinions. And I think this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to read these to you. After testing, if you could just make sure you have all the test booklets and the answer documents. If you have time to alphabetize them, that would be much appreciated. And if you could turn all the answer folders the same way, that will allow us to just ship them off to be scored as soon as possible. And you don't need to see that. If you want to make sure that they filled in their name and have all the ovals filled in correctly, you can double check those things. And the test manual kind of guides you through that as well. And after you guys are done testing, oops, I forgot to check the chat in a while. Oh, nothing there. Also, feel free to shout them out if you've got questions. Oopsala. After the students are done testing, you can send them to the cafeteria for lunch, unless you're time and a half, right? Then they've probably already eaten lunch. And then students can leave campus as well if they have transportation, or they can stay in the cafeteria until the buses come. The buses run on the normal schedule, so at 3:05. And that's all I have. What questions do you guys have for me? Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope that was helpful. And oh, there's a